can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, and I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord, I can feel it in the air tonight. Oh Lord, oh Lord, and I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord, I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, and I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord, oh Lord.
It has been way too long since we have been live for one of these VTuber racing events, but we're finally back into the thick of things here with our 18th round out of the 30 scheduled rounds for the VTuber Racing 2024 season. Today we take our 34 drivers all the way to the Twin Ring Motegi Speedway, also known as the Mobility Resort Motegi Speedway, but I like to call it the Twin Ring because that's what I grew up with. So today we have 130 laps, actually 37 drivers. I already miscounted. I am stupid, my bad. So 130 laps around this track today. Not a lot compared to the last couple of races, so today might be a quicker race compared to before and after we get done with this event here. We do have an updated schedule here to bring up before we get into this race. So today's round 18, round 19, which will be next week, will take place at the Milwaukee Mile. Then, in race 20, we'll take it all the way down to Florida for the Homestead Miami Speedway. On round 21, we'll go over to the Charlotte Motor Speedway, also known as Lowe's Motor Speedway, for what will probably be, well, I will say this here. Round 21 and 22 will probably be our two most enduring races of the season, with both races being held at big racetracks or semi-big racetracks for the Charlotte Motor Speedway's instance, and a lot of laps in both of those races. We already went to Charlotte once this season, but that was the road course on the Roval, all the way back in like the first 10 races. I think round 8 to be exact. I could be wrong. And that one was won by William on pit strategy. This time, when we go back to Lowe's Motor Speedway, the 21st round, that'll be our oval race for that track. So those are the next 4 races coming out of today, while this is round 18. So the next 5 races counting today. So before we get 130 laps on the board and see where we are at afterwards, let's see where we are at beforehand with points. So points are showing up on screen right now. Area has a 35-point gap over, well, Malcolm at 1 point, Milani Bell, and that was a gap that increased after the last race a couple weeks back. Williams sits third, 49 points back from our points leader. We got Noriboshi, 57, and Merriweather, 57 points back, tied for the 4th place spot. And then just a few points behind them is Soleil in 6th. Out of today's race, there's only 2 drivers that could theoretically come out of today's race with the points lead, and that is the top 2. Everybody from 3rd on down can mathematically not gain a top spot out of the points here today, even if the 24 car finishes dead last today, which might be a possibility, but we will have to find out there soon enough. Everybody else on this list, 100 or more points down as we go all the way down to Kobo in 11th, who gained the most amount of spots after the last race. But they are still 122 points back, so multiple races back. And Iron Mouse sits 10th, 82 points back. And that's just how the points rack up for today. A lot of opportunities outside the top 2 that could be, or I guess outside the top 3 rather, that could be decided here today. And then here's our qualifying standings. The top 8 for the day, the top 7. I'll go through the rest when we get down to trackside here. So DD has a his first pole of the season with a 36.3, and then Saiki Risu starting in second, and then Nana Astria with a 36.4 will start third alongside Sibu, and our points leader starts 5th for today with DM in 6th and Filiad in 7th. We'll go through the rest of the field here momentarily, as once again I'll pull up the points just for one split second. And with that out of the way, I think it is now time for us to head down to trackside and let's take a look at the rest of the starting lineup for today. I already mentioned here, we got the front row listed here with DD on the inside of Risu. Then we got the 85 alongside the 99. Our points leaders to the inside, a very good qualifying run considering that the 69 is not inside the top 10 as we see. So DF starts to the points leaders outside for the day. And as we go farther back, we'll see Filiad, which we last saw on that list, and now Callie will start at the 8th spot. Noriboshi starting at 9th, and Illumin starting at 10th. The 10 of William starts in the 11th spot, with Merryweather sitting at 12th. Dreamer starts at 13th. 14th place starting spot goes to Melody. 16th place goes to Iron Mouse. To the outside of Gura, starting at 15th. Henya starts on the outside of David as we drop back behind the top 15 and down just inside the top 20 with Kyoso, Reska Kyoso and Watson sharing a row, and then Devious Sprite and Lumi share a row just inside the top 20. Back outside the top 20, got DJ Overdrive and Fibble sharing a row. Kobo and Lucky share in a row. Fruit starts to the outside of Doki Bird. Weebu starts to the outside of Bao. Tyroki starts to the inside of Kason. Second place at points of Bell, sitting all the way back in the 30s on the inside of Fu. Hanomizuki starts to the inside of Fifi. And then at our last place starting spot for today is the number 420 of Soleil, who will have to climb from that deficit in order for them to gain any sort of points, in order for them to make something happen in the point situation, because like I said, only 2 drivers can theoretically come out of today's race with the points lead. The points gap is pretty huge as of this moment. Fired up the engines, get off the grid, down into turn number 1, where we will have our first of many opportunities to showcase this track off. It is a very wide track. Audio might be slightly loud. I can fix that. The track is very wide, but you see the gray, the darker gray are part of the track on the inside. That will be our preferred line of the race. Like I said, 130 laps around this track, and with lap times right under the 37-second mark, it might be a really quick sprint to the end here. But this is DD's first time on the front row this season. Can he finish that? Can he finish off well? That's the main thing here. Qualifying, though, has never really been our main focus, because by the time we get down to that checkered flag, the field is drifted into multiple different directions. Pace cars into the pits. 2x2 coming across off of 4 down the front stretch, and DD will lead them to the green flag here. Green flags of the air. We are racing in Japan. Solid start there by the front row. Sibu slides way up the racetrack. He'll fall back 3 wide. Couple rows behind here. Risu's going to fall back a few spots by that outside of the line. And here comes the 85 and Nana, try to get a run down the backstretch. Side by side going into turn 3 for the race lead. The 24 of Area gonna be taken to the outside as Filiad tries to make a move down there to the inside. That's for the 3rd spot. Nana's gonna lead the first lap. Great run off of turn 4. Crosses the stripe, and that'll be the first lap led of this race for the 85 car. Second place, good on the throttle so far. Slides up the racetrack just a little bit. That's opening the door for the 78 Affiliate. He's been a bridesmaid many times this season already, trying to get their first win of the season. and it could come today. Right now looking for the second spot as they are underneath Didi for that spot. DM underneath Noriboshi just behind the 78 car. Ooh, little tight off the corner there. They stay side by side for second. Nana leads the second lap. Side by side for second, side by side behind them. Starlight hanging on into the top, almost into the top 5, battling for that 5th spot underneath Noriboshi. William just behind them, not too far back as well. A lot of side-by-side racing in the back of the field here. DM moves up to 3rd, Fillion up to 2nd. Fillion's going to look for the race lead. Get the good corner entry. Can they get the run off the corner to make that happen? It'll be a good, pretty solid exit. Not enough to get the lead, but they stay side-by-side as they enter turn 1 here momentarily. DM's looking just right close. Behind Fillion, slides up through the middle. Top 3 are separated by only 0.2 when they cross that line. And now Fillion clears up and clears off the 85 down the back, and it's the 78 that takes away the race lead. DM up to 2nd. Here comes the 24 Starlight, maybe looking 3 wide. Thinks twice of it, stays side by side with the 85 and Nana. Oh, DM with a big check out of the corner. That's going to give the 85. Never mind. The 85 also checked up off of the corner as well. So DM hangs on to 2nd. Not for long. Gets taken up. Here comes the 24. Solid qualifying position for the 24. They've been really having some struggles this season with qualifying, but a good qualifying effort this week. We'll have to see if they're up front by the end of the race, because the thing about this series is you start up front, that doesn't mean you're going to finish up front. Seen a lot of races come and go with the drivers coming up front and back they go. So qualifying not being the strong suit of the 24, that's led to them having some good finishing results in the end. But will today be a different factor with them qualifying inside the top 10? Right now they're up to 2nd and they are eking underneath that 78. Might get a run down the backstretch. See David making a move for the 3rd spot just behind. He's not going to be able to make it happen. Not down the backstretch. Side by side for the lead. Here comes our points leader for the race lead. And if she can make this corner work in her favor, which it kind of looks favorable, and chops the nose off the 78, clears up and leads lap 6, that is another bonus point for the 24 car for their points lead. And as of this moment, with the 69 car not being inside the top 10, but sitting in 18th as the last lap has gone by, that points gap is going to increase by a lot. But that's if it lasts this long. We are still way too early in the race, but that is just a perspective as where we are at this moment. For the race, or for the points lead, I should say. I forgot to turn off the music. My bad. I just now remember that. Sometimes I don't even notice it. Here comes Nana back to the inside. She's going to try to take back the race lead. Had a lot of different leaders, but not one driver has been able to take the race lead back from another car just yet. But here comes Nana to make that happen, and is helping that 94. Here comes Noriboshi onto the inside of the 24. Actually, to the inside of the race leader. Here they come, looking for the race lead. Nana took the race lead back, but didn't lead a lap. Not officially. Noriboshi to the point. With them being side by side off the corner behind, that'll make the 94 get a bonus point for leading the lap. And Starlight falls back behind the top 5 in just a handful of laps. Not even a lap. She's trying to make it 3 wide. Nana might have some problems here. She's being shoved to the outside and holding up the outside line right now. Iron Mouse now inside the top 5, as well as Gura. Here comes Callie to the inside of the 24. Now that's back just inside the top 10. And Noriboshi hangs on to first. Gura trying to take second away from DM. And down the front straightaway, it is tight. You get really tight off of the corners here. To file down into turn 1. Noriboshi with a pretty solid gap at the moment. 0.3 of a second. Here comes Gura with a good run off the corner. And our pole sitter Aditi still hangs on to third. A lot of side-by-side racing down the back straightaway. Here comes Gura. solid run down the backstretch and will take the race lead away. Or at least at the moment. Have to come off the corner. Ooh, very tight. Still side by side, but Gura hangs on. Will lead a lap and get that bonus point. Iron Mouse just behind the 87. As the 87 tries to make a pass for the race lead. Sides up on corner exit. Gotta get the run down the back. Might be able to clear going into turn 3. The bottom line is a very dominant line here on this track. If you ain't there, you ain't gonna make a pass happen. DD back up front. Iron Mouse is second. Side by side behind Gura for fourth. Lap time there for Didi was a 36.51. That was his fastest, and we're 12 laps into this run. Iron Mouse, though, right on his tail. With another driver with a fast lap that last time by. A lot of single file this time by down the back. Iron Mouse is going to change that with a side-by-side move into turn 3. Off of turn 4. Is he going to be able to clear up? And does. 36.4, so another fast lap by the 22 car. Takes a race lead away, tries to get a good amount of gap here, but that's another weak point out of our season so far. The leader there's never really been a dominant leader early in a run. It comes late in the run when the drivers figure out their stuff. Saw that Old Spice with the 24 leading a bunch of laps near the end of the race. Consecutive fashion. But that came really late in the race. We had a lot of lead changes that race. And so far we are on track to have just as many, if not more, lead changes in a shorter amount of laps. Well, I guess a much more amount of laps. They're 3 wide back there with our pole sitter and Lumi and David. As Gura tries to defend from DM on the inside, that is not going to work. Starlight's back inside the top 5. Right now our top 5 consists of DM, Gura, Noriboshi, Iron Mouse, and Starlight at the moment, but David's going to probably peek inside there as they're battling for that spot. Bell's climbed up inside the top 15, up to 14th at the moment. Which is good news for them, as well as the 24's falling back slightly. Not by a whole lot, but they are falling back. David's coming up through the picture here. Iron Mouse making a move for second. Here comes Fu. Fu's inside the top 10. We're starting in the deep part of the field, back in the 30s. And Soleil's up to 18th after starting in dead last. So all it really takes is for you to get on that inside and just get a couple good runs going, and all you got is a couple extra positions. As Fu runs up on the 24 and gains a spot there. That is for the 7th spot. As Noriboshi has the race lead with about a 10th.5 on Iron Mouse. A little bit of pressure behind from David. Island of turn 3, single file to the top 5 for the most part. A little bit of checking up going on there. Iron Mouse hanging on to second. David's going to look to the inside, though, going into turn 1. Iron, you can't really defend hard on that outside line, especially with these, how these runs develop. It's a very wide racetrack, but that inside line makes it very narrow for the passing lane. David makes a move for second, and he's looking to the inside for first. And Noriboshi, for the most part, is going to try and give it up as best as she can so she can hang on to second. David's going to clear himself on... Noriboshi hanging on. Not for long, though. That slight checkup's going to allow Iron Mouse to get underneath. And now put the 22 back to second. Lumi's up in the 3rd spot now. Our highest run so far. Side by side again for the race leader comes the 22. They're checking out more down into the corner. I'm thinking that the tire wear is starting to get to these guys here. We're about 18 laps through this race. They've been running really tightly together, so I gotta wonder that these tires are slowly but surely starting to wear thin for these drivers. I say that, but their lap times are not falling off tremendously. They still have relatively good pace compared to where they started, or when they started, rather. The pace has slightly fallen off, not by much, but they are getting a bit more timid going into the corners. And that's still that bunches up the field even more. Just 3 wide here between Callie, Lumi, and David. David actually gets a good run on the very high line. Oh, but it's not going to be much. They're still going to be 3 wide going into turn 1. And David's going to be way out of the groove on that exchange. He's going to fall back and still be 3 wide on the I side there. He's going to fall outside the top 10. And now it's back to double file for the most part. Gura goes back to the race lead. Or at least attempts to, go to turn 3 and 4. Callie not too far behind, trying to battle up to third. Big run off the corner there by Gura. They are, on that camera angle, that looks really close. It looks really close. Noriboshi does not do a crossover right now, although still nose to tail. Peaks down low, might be thinking inside move here going into turn 3. Files out, stays behind the 1, gets a draft, gets a run. Might be looking down low for the race lead and does. And Callie's not going to help out her Hololive teammate for the moment. As Tyroki climbs into the picture here, might be making things a bit interesting here. Might make it 3 wide going into 1. He does not. Top 3, all pink cars. The points leader comes back up to 4th. It didn't take long for them. It didn't take long for them to file back, but they're back up front. Really tight battle there. Almost way too close. Almost contact between the 41 and the 73. Oh, almost dooring each other for the race lead, I should say. Tyroki peeks down low. Thinks about going 3 wide. Thinks twice. Moves up to 2nd. Although really trying to hang on to that race car. They've been checking up a little bit. These speeds are not entirely quick for this racetrack. Especially because they are driving it deep into the corners. And they go from 160 down the straightaway down to almost 110. Solid acceleration there by Tyroki going into turn 1. He will dip down into the 140s. A loss of 20 miles an hour there. Going into turn 1 and 2. Let's see what happens here going down into turn 3. The BM as she hits 170 on the inside. Dives it all the way down to 115 miles an hour. Turns 1 and 2 vastly different from turns 3 and 4 in terms of speed and grip. Smoke on the back stretch, or smoke on the front stretch, cautions out. 24 laps into this race, and our first incident of the day has taken place. Let's see what happened here. Ooh, looks like a big wreck happening on the back here. Fifi spun around. Looks like way too much of a run here. This is back in 30th and 35th on back. As Fifi's down on the inside, 3 wide with DJ and Melody. They're going to come off the corner. Fifi tries to slide. Oh, no, actually, DM bounces off of Melody. And all 4 of them, including Merriweather, just get spun around. Not a whole lot of damage. Although Melody did clip the rear end of overdrive there at the last part of the wreck. But too little room there for 3 drivers, and that ends up with a 3, maybe 4 cars if you count Merriweather. All of them getting involved in our first incident of the day. comes on lap 25. Now that we've completed 24 laps of the race. "25 laps into this run, our first cause for caution out for the day. We'll be curious to see if anybody does enter the pits here this time by, as we've ran 25 laps on these tires, and the fastest lap, and DJ Overdrive did set a pretty blazer of a lap with a 34.6. And everybody else is setting 35, so that's our fastest lap, so the pace has dropped off tremendously for a lot of these drivers, as they've set for the last majority of the laps about 36.3s or 36.5s for the most part. Does anybody come in this time? Nobody up front entering the pits. Nobody for the most part entering the pits. There's some drivers in the back that look like they're pitting. Yeah, David, it looks like David, is that Iron Mouse? Looks like those two are in the pits up front. David's in. Looks like Iron Mouse. A couple others from the very back of the field. They are also pitting. Looks like the other two. Looks like there's just two others, and that's Melody and Fifi, and those two were involved in the wreck. So when we get this restart here, unless anybody pits this time by, which we'll see, but as of this moment, it's DM up front, with Tyroki in second, Nori Boshi in third, our pole sitter Aditi up to fourth, Callie up to fifth, our points leader to sixth, Fu with a solid run that time, starting from 36th, if I remember correctly, 36th or 34th. He was on the outside, a couple rows before the very end of the starting grid. I think 34th is where he started, or third, yeah, somewhere between 34th, 36th, something like that. He's up to 7th, Lumi to 8th, Tyroki to 9th, and rounding out the top 10 is Gura. We'll go through the rest of the running order here when we cross the line again, get an update on their positionings. Now, with the way things have ran for the first 25 laps, the way that I'm seeing things here is that we are going to see a really big shakeup in the finishing results compared to where everybody started, which I guess is kind of the norm as of what we have seen the last couple of races. So now that we've gotten another lap under the belt, there's Gura in 10th, Kason in 11th, Doki Bird in 12th, William to 13th, Nana to 14th, Soleil gaining 22 spots from that first run up to 15th. Bimble to 16th, Lucky to 17th, Hano up to 18th, Lumen to 19th, Weebu in 20th, Kobo 21st, Bao 22nd, Henya 23rd, Billy in 24th, Sprite 25th, Bell in 26th, Simu 27th, Dreamer 28th, Risu, our outside pole sitter, 29th, Fruit in 30th, Watson 31st, DJ in 32nd, Merriweather 33rd, David 34th, Iron Mouse 35th, Fifi 36th, and Melody rounds out the field in 37th. And while I do have an extra second here with our pacing, let me turn down the game and turn up the stream volume just a little bit. That does make a difference, by the way. Might be a bit louder in the game, but anything in terms of alerts, they'll be louder now than they were just a couple minutes ago. Pace car is into the pits. We'll complete lap 27 out of 130 to get us back underway with racing. A single file restarts right now, so we'll see how things get in terms of orderly. If it's more orderly this time. Green flag's back in the air. Nobody really darts out of line to start going past the start-finish line. But Tyroki makes a move back into the front here. Although Noriboshi has a run. Let's see if she makes it happen going down the backstretch. No, she doesn't. She stays in line with the 41. DM did not get a good restart there. She's going to lose a handful, if not more than a handful, of spots. Might fall back to 4th, maybe 5th. Tairoki takes the race lead away. Under pressure from the 94 Noriboshi. And once again, the top 3 is all hot pink cars. Noriboshi with a good run down the... out of turn 1, or actually out of turn 2. Down the backstretch, but Tairoki gets a solid run, but the 94 is going to get a dive down low. And we're seeing 3 wide behind these two as Fu takes both Callie and Starlight up the track. Tries to take that 3rd spot away. Noriboshi hangs on to the point right now. Fu with a solid run right now. He's up to 3rd after starting deep in the field. Noriboshi hangs on to the race lead for the moment. Tairoki under pressure for Fu right behind. That's where our first battle for side-by-side. Nope, never mind. Fu's going to stay right... Oops, side-by-side for the lead. Here comes Tairoki with a hell of a run down in turn 3. And Kyoso's up to 4th. Ooh, big check up there by the 17. Oh my goodness, almost contact between the top 2. Dead heat right to the line. I couldn't call that. I think Noriboshi, they're tied. They are tied, but so far they're giving it to the 94 for that lap. 0.00, I would say 0.002 was the official margin there. Fu down the backstretch here, looking for a spot for the race lead. Big comeback there if that's how the 17 is going to finish this race. Once again, he started deep in the field, and he has a solid car in this race so far. Big shove right there by the 47. Almost hit the 94. Move up to 2nd, although content so far, going into turn 1. Tries to see if the 41 slips up on exit. Kind of does right there. Allows the 17 to get to the inside if he can get it. Fu make a move down into the inside this time. Not into turn 3. Single file through the majority of the top 10 at the moment. Things are getting a little bit more orderly right now. Not as much battling going on. 33 laps into this first stint. Also with a lot of pressure back there in 3rd from Lumi in the 64. Noriboshi also pressuring them as well. Might even make it 3 wide going into turn 3. Noriboshi does not make it 3 wide. But Lumi still gains a spot, now up to 3rd at the moment. Get a good corner exit here and does, so that is 3rd place for the 64. Tairoki hanging on to the lead though. It's the most amount of laps a leader has led consistently for the most part of the race. 4th place changes hands as Noriboshi goes up to 4th and Kyoso falls back to 5th. With Callie just underneath him. Fu makes a move to the inside. For the race lead, the first time that the 17 will lead a lap this race. Can he get there? Whew, tight. Tairoki tries to defend, but can't do it. He's going to lose 2nd even as well as Lumi's right underneath him. Side by side for the 3rd spot now as Tairoki falls back to 4th. Smoke on the backstretch. Is that a caution? No. It looks like Fruit might have been involved in it, so let's take a look and see if she was the victim of a spin. Oh, it does. Oh, wow, a big spin. DJ Overdrive with a hell of a run down the backstretch. Takes out the 84. Bam, right into the inside wall. Big scrape there, but no caution for this. Get another look at this real quick. I want to see what happens here. Fru has a run off of turn 2. Side by side with Risu. DJ Overdrive had a solid run. And I don't there's just a lot. I guess somehow, some way, there was not enough room for those 3 cars. Although, like I said, since I was back in last place, no caution. No immediate caution, at least. And this is a replay since that was a replay of the last lap. Now we see Tyroki lose 3rd spot, and this is where we ended up at. So now this is now live. Lemme tries to get a run off the corner here and tries to get a run down the front stretch. File through the majority of the field. And it stays single file inside the top 3. Points leader Starlight still hanging on in 10th place. I'm going to keep updating points as thing goes on, but as of this moment, the 69 not being inside the top 20, sitting in 27th. That's a number of points lost right there by 69. So remember, each position is worth exactly 1 point in our points format. But since the 24 has also led a lap so far in this race, that's a bonus point as well. So right now, Starlight's sitting in 10th, and Bell is sitting 28th. That's a 19-point gain by the 24 team so far. With them sitting barely a race, with them sitting barely a race on, how can I say this? Okay, Bell is sitting 37 points back. He barely has to make this race work to set themselves up for the next race to take the points lead away. Bell still has like maybe a race and a half to get back up to the points lead. And as of this moment, it's going to be more than just a race. Tyroki tries to get back up front here. As of this moment, heading into next week's race at the Milwaukee Mile, something's gonna happen. And with that 24, in order for Bell to come back into the thick of things here in the points championship. Because as of this moment, that 24 has been solid the last several weeks. And the thing is, too, is that if the 24 can get a whole race over everybody else, then they can have a race or two go not their way and still have an opportunity to make something happen in the points championship. 3 wide for the 3rd place. There's contact between Doki Bird and Callie, which ultimately resulted in contact between Callie and Noriboshi as they try to sort that out for 3rd place. And Fu goes back up to the point here on lap 40. I'm just trying to give a nice little picture as to what we're seeing right now in the points. And that's at this moment that the 24 has a full race ahead of everybody else in points. Which means next week could be an absolute blunder for the 24 machine, and they could still have the points lead and a sizable gap still. Doki Bird up to 3rd, climbs up from deep in the field in their starting spot. They're still running 41 laps at this moment under the first set of tires and fuel that they have ran. Now, I don't think they're going to run a lot more. I think they're going to start diving in here within the next handful of laps, I'd assume. I mean, we did have a caution, so that does probably push back strategy by maybe a lap or two, but it ain't too. That might not be too much here. And Fu has not had a really good season at all. He is deep in the points. And really, he is just trying to muster up something here in order to get back into the thick of things in terms of getting inside the top 10 in points. I will mention this as well, because I haven't mentioned it yet, because we are getting closer to it, but it isn't here yet. There's still 2 heat races for drivers that are 100 or more points behind the points leader in order to close up that gap as we enter in our I guess 2/3. We are close to 2/3 of the way through this season. Once we enter in that final third stretch of the season, we're going to have 2 heat races, and the drivers that are 100 or more points behind the points leader, they are going to be eligible for that, for those 2 races, and they're going to be able to get those bonus points from that race because it'll reward full points for the drivers. So even if you finish slightly bad, you will get some bonus points compared to the top, I guess the top 100 or less points, I guess. But that won't be for a while. I believe that the 2 heat races will take place at both Chicagoland late in the season and Watkins Glen immediately after that. Because those 2 racetracks are on the schedule around, I think, round 22, round 20. Actually, I think it's round 22 and round 23. If not 23, 24. Tairoki hangs on to the race lead. They were single file for the last couple of laps, so I might as well get that out of the way. But as this season rolls on, we're going to see a lot more points battles being traded, points positions, I should say, being traded around, but not even close inside the top 10. So the heat races are really going to benefit the drivers that want to be inside the top 10 in points, but they'll still be far enough back to where they're still going to have to muster up a massive comeback in order to get inside the top 5 in points. And then they even have to have a more perfect of a run in the final 10 races to be inside the top 3. With how the 24 has been running all season, it's going to have to take a massive blow and a massive choke in order for them to even come close to falling outside the top 3 in points. And as of the way that they are running, top 2 in points. Single file for the top 2 spots at the moment, as Fu nearly gets into Dogibird for 3rd right there. That was scary close. And what we're still looking at here schedule-wise is we still have a handful of road courses left. Still have a few super speedways, including Eurospeed, coming up. And then we still have even a dirt race coming up here. Our one and only dirt race of the season. That is coming up. So just because we are in our 18th race of the season doesn't mean we still have some interesting racetracks coming up. That final 10 race stretch is going to be the stretch of the century for any driver that wants to win this championship. And they're going to have to be very, very versatile. They're going to have to run road courses. They're going to have to run speedways like this track right now with Twin Ring Motegi. They're going to have to run a dirt track. They're going to have to run several different types of tracks. But things are going to get very interesting in the final 10 races here, as Fu not only tries to take second away from Lumi, but tries to make a pass for the lead. And while he's not going to be able to make it happen now, he's still going to stay on the inside of Tairoki. Still going to stay to that inside. Starlight's back up inside the top 5. She was nearing the outside top 10 for a while there, but she's back up to 5th after climbing up several spots. And the 69 has yet to climb up that as many spots, so it is now more than 24 points of a gain right now between the start of the race and now. And if that's how they finish... Oh, contact! Oh, in the wall! Tairoki in the wall, and around he goes, and Dokibird. The top 3 at the time taking each other out, with Fu also getting involved as well. Oh my god, near contact even more. My goodness. Too aggressive there was the top 3. Let's get another look at this. My god. Same spot as the first wreck. Tairoki tries to clear himself up. Actually, no, Dokibird clears themselves up into Fu, which drives the 17 down into the 41, and bam, right into each other. Now, I think Fu is fine. They're checking up behind him. Yeah, Fu's going to come out of this pretty much scot-free as the 3 slides across the line, as well as the 41, but they're thankfully down at the bottom part of the track, so they don't get too much more damage. Then you see the 3 of Stokybird here just nearly getting into it, I think, with Merryweather. Somebody right here. It's Dreamer that oh my god! Super close between the 3 and 60. And a couple more file in behind. Drama. And out of all of that, it's Lumi who takes the caution flag. Excuse me, the caution flag for the lead. I've seen turn 4 being a really aggressive spot for these drivers to pinch each other for a position, if not the lead. And that time it came back to bite them all. Bite that top 3 right there. Now, Fu got the best out of all of that. He sits 4th as several drivers come down into the pits. And a lot more stay out, actually. Wow. I'm not surprised with Fu coming in. But Lumi and Starlight are pitting while a ton of drivers are staying out. Moriboshi and Kyoso and Keisan are now going to be the top 3 when we get this restart. I mean, I wouldn't call this contact even between Starlight and Simu had a little bit of contact there. It doesn't look like anything major. I wouldn't necessarily call this a bad strategy move for these drivers, though. We are 51 laps into this run. By the looks of things here, we are close to a lot of more drivers coming into the pits. Maybe some of these drivers are coming in early to get a good run here with these fresh tires, because again, we've ran 50 laps on these on this set of tires that a lot of drivers have started with. Right now, a lot of drivers that stayed out that time, I'm assuming they're probably thinking that if we get another green flag run in, we'll get another 20 to 30 laps on these tires before they dive in for what would be their one and only stop. So, as everything has calmed down slightly, and as of this moment, we might be 1 to green when we get into turn 1 here, or maybe not, I don't know. Noriboshi in front of Kyoso in 2nd, Keisan in 3rd, D in 4th, Gura in 5th. Fifi, who got involved in the first wreck, is having a good comeback, now up to 6th. Callie in 7th, William in 8th. Melody, who also spun in that first wreck, now up to 9th. DM in 10th, Soleil with a comeback right now, mounting from dead last, starting spot, up to 11th right now. Iron Mouse in 12th, Enya in 13th, Bao in 14th, Nana in 15th, Kobo in 16th, Hano Mizuki in 17th, Lucky in 18th, Lumen in 19th, Weebu in 20th, David falls to 21st, Sprite 22nd. Right now, Bell has the advantage, being in front of the 24, but sits 23rd, not too far back as 24 as we see. Fillion in 24th, Watson 25th, Dreamer 26th, Merryweather 27th, Risu 28th, Lumi 29th, and there's our points leader sitting 30th. 31st is Fu, who got involved in a wreck between Doki Bird in 32nd and Tyroki 33rd. Bimble 34th, Simu 35th, Overdrive at 36th, and Fruit still in 37th. That is a big break by that 84 machine, as they got spun early in that run, and I don't think they were anywhere close to being lapped, but still, Getting right back up to that 12 car. There might be some revenge on the mind of that 84 car. Maybe. We'll see. Right now it is 7 spots separating the 69 and the 24, the top 2 in points. But that's still about a 6-point gain, maybe 5 points. 5 at least by this, but I guess a gain of points is a gain of points, but when we're 53 out of 130 completed, there's still a long ways to go. We're still not even past the first half of this race. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on the strategy call here for a lot of those drivers that stayed out this caution period here, and see if we're gonna figure out when they're gonna pit exactly. That strategy call by the ones that pitted under this period of a pace lap here, we may see them back up front quicker before you know it, and that'll shake things up a lot. So we have some drivers doing split strategy with others. So we're going to have to see how that strategy pays in dividends here near the end of this race. It's Noriboshi, Kyoso, and Keisan, the top 3, as the pace car dives into the pits. We're going to get a third restart here for this race from our second caution of the day. A couple drivers jump out of line going into turn 1 here. Single file in the back half of the field, though. Three wide with Fifi, Callie, and Melody. Side by side for the race lead. Here comes Kyoso. Looking for that race lead. Got a couple wins under his belt already. Trying to make it another. Gonna be side by side with Noriboshi. Nearly an identical incident right there between the top 3. He also leads, so he'll get a bonus point for leading a lap. Sole up inside the top 10 after starting 37th. Very congested right now, especially in the front of the field here. Didi tries to make a move underneath Kyoso, and Kyoso tried to throw a block. And, ooh, very bad exit there by Didi. Holy moly. Maybe it turned too early there for the 87. They're still side by side for third, behind the 87. Toriboshi's trying to hang on. The leader has not had really good restarts here. I'm just saying that right now. As Noriboshi almost 3 wide with Fifi and Melody. I remember that Fifi and Melody got involved in the first incident of the day back at lap 25, and they pitted, and they have 25 lap fresher tires than everybody else. Actually, more than 25 at this. Well, no. Yeah, sorry. They have 25 lap fresher tires than everybody, so that's why they're coming up through the field quicker than everybody else is. So if that's how they run with 25 lap fresher tires, 50 lap fresher tires are going to come barreling down on not only Fifi and Melody, but the rest of the field has got to be worried. If that's how tires are going to be this race, then the drivers that are going to pit late in this run, they're going to probably be better off. I am not too sure, though. It depends on when they pit. Fifi makes a move down into turn 1 for the lead. Melody up to third. Those two have fresh tires compared to Kyoso, who has no chance of battling these two right now. These two could put a big gap on the rest of the field, and that'd be our biggest gap of the race. We'll see if that happens. Melody tries to take the race lead away, though. Not going to allow Fifi to get a bonus point for leading. They're going to have to fight that out amongst themselves at the moment. See what happens here on this exit. Almost contact between the two again. Melody leads lap 58. So the only other thing that I'm worried about is maybe that these two are going to drive the tires off so badly that it doesn't matter if it's 25 lap pressure tires. Kyoso and the rest of the field could easily catch them. Because all it really takes is for them to battle. And Kyoso can easily just come up and swoop in and take advantage eventually. Maybe not in the short term, but in the long term at least. As of this moment, the drivers that were involved in wrecks that went into the pits both times, that might actually be helpful for them. Right now, the top two are separating themselves by a handful of tenths, but here comes Fifi to make things happen into turn 3. Does Melody give it up easily, or are they going to fight? Looks like Melody's going to try and fight it. That might not work. They're going to stay... Nope. Melody finally clears up. Kyoso might actually try and make something happen. Looked underneath, or looked lower than the 36. Well, like I said, these two right now have 25 lap pressure tires on the rest of the field. So they were able to climb through the field on that last green flag run, and now they're training the lead once again. 61 laps in the book, and a lot of drivers have not gone into the pits. I'm seeing Fruit and Foo climb through the ranks here. On that shot down the front straightaway, they are both of them are just outside the top 10. And remember, they pitted the last caution, and they have 50 lap pressure tires in the rest of the field that did not stop. So the drivers that have stopped, either on lap 25, 26, they're coming compared to the rest of the field. And the rest of the field may be trying to long stretch this and try to pit and make sure that those drivers that pitted on lap 25, 26, and under that last caution, they're going to make sure that they pay the price. Right now, tons of drivers are sitting with 63 lap tires. Fuel is not much of a problem. A lot of drivers are going to try to stretch this till 70. Because that'll be just past, or I guess that'd be over the halfway mark, and more of a comfortable spot for them to run. And if they just want to pit once, that's all they're going to do. We see some drivers down. I think DM and Gura, they're down into the pits. So now they're taking tires. So it looks like several drivers are already getting ready to make sure that this is their final few laps under their belt on these tires. Merriweather in the picture as well. Hard to see from these camera angles exactly who's coming in and when. Doesn't look like DM. I think it was Gura and somebody else that went into the pits. Noriboshi, Merriweather, Gura. Okay, those three are in the pits. Okay. As of this moment, let's see if anybody dives in. Several this time. Kyoso and DM this time. It's DM going down. Many drivers this time coming down. Let's see who else. Let's look on the right here. Looks like Nana, Kobo, Lucky. I see Bell and Weebu, Sprite. Many drivers. Yeah, many drivers. So that brings Soleil up to third. Here comes Doki Bird, who pitted under that caution. They're going to climb to fourth. Or they're going to fall back to fourth, I should say. And many more are going to come into the pits this time. And Foo and Fruit, a lot of these drivers that have pitted, they're holding up the cars on the outside, so several drivers staying out longer than they would like. DJ Overdrive, who's been battling just in irrelevancy all race long, he's now inside the top 10 because of these the tire strategy here. And because of this, at the same time too, Melody and Fifi, they aren't gonna pit. Fruit and Food, they aren't going to pit. Many of these drivers, they are not going to pit. They're going to trap tons of these drivers' laps down. Iron Mouse still cannot get to the bottom. They are not on good tires right now. Iron Mouse sitting with 67 lap tires right now, as everybody else is just hogging that inside line. Although if this pays dividends for Iron Mouse in the second half of the race, they may get a good finish out of this. There's Soleil coming out from the pits. Several drivers coming out from the pits. But this group, most of these drivers, with the exception of Iron Mouse, they did not pit under that caution. Fruit dives it in way deep. And Iron Mouse still can't pit from the high groove. I mean, they can, but that would cause a wreck, and that would ultimately foil the plans. As Melody goes back to the race lead, but here comes Doki Bird with those 25-lap fresher tires and than these two. So the tire strategy game is separating the field up by plenty of chunks and cars. So it's no longer a pack race with all drivers equal. It's a race of tire strategy. As Doki Bird looks for the race lead. Tires mean a lot at this track. I didn't expect it to, but I was proven wrong. Doki Bird to the point. And there's Lucky, who sits one lap down, as well as Sprite and many, many others. Iron Mouse still not in the pits. Because they can't get into the pits. They're stuck on the high groove. As of this moment, Doki Bird's the one that gets the best out of the drivers that pitted under that last caution. As the top three are separated by more than a second on the rest of the field. Iron Mouse might be able to pit this time. Still not able to at the moment. Simon was battling with Soleil right there, and that kind of held them up. Well, Soleil, despite pitting later than everybody else, they have fresher tires, about 15 laps fresher tires than everybody else. So they are able to climb. Although they sit one lap down. It's only 13 cars on the lead lap at the moment, all the way back to David in 13th. But if a caution does come out, and it's Soleil and maybe many others, depending on the wave around situation, they could get a lap back. Also depends on who pits and who doesn't, as Lucky's being eaten alive right now by many drivers with tires. Now, unless I'm mistaken, I'm pretty certain Iron Mouse has not pitted. And by the way that she's getting eaten alive by drivers that have pitted, she's boldly staying out longer than everybody else. Still not in the pits. There's several drivers that are deciding not to pit right now and just wait it out and see if they can get an even bigger advantage. Which is a bold move. I think Fifi's in the pits. No, Fifi's in the pits. She's coming out of it, I think. From the looks of things. No damage from what I'm seeing, so I'm definitely saying that they definitely went into the pits. So some drivers are even wanting to get into the pits, even if they have pitted already early in the run. So Melody may come down later. And Sprite may be chasing down Doki Bird at the moment, but that is not for the race lead. That would be all the way back to Fruit in second. Hiroki's third at the moment. And Soleil is going to try and get that lap back legitimately. Quick amount of speed there, and she does have speed compared to everybody else. Especially the race leader. And as of this moment, now we're down to 12 on the lead lap. With many of those drivers that still are on the lead lap deciding to hold off, including David. But everybody from 13th on down, they have pitted. And the field is spread out tremendously. Spread out and jumbled up. As of this moment, the points leader sits 8th. With a little bit of help here. At 24, may be able to finish in a very solid position. Especially compared to where the number 69 is on track. Which is not too far. 24th right now sits the 69 car. So as of this moment, you're still looking at math right in the fucking midst of everything. Let me see here. Because the 24 sits 8th. The The 69 sits 24th. I'd say that's roughly, that's close to 15, somewhere between 15 to 20 points. Because you also have to add in one other point too, because the 24 has led a lap. Tyroki is catching the 3 of Dokibird. Dokibird's trying to put down some pretty fast laps while also conserving some of these tires for later. It won't take long. Here comes Tyroki for the race lead with much faster equipment. While the 6 of Lucky's in this battle as well, that is not for position. They sit a couple laps down. Oh, even a little bit of contact there. That was very close. There's several drivers that are 2 or more laps down. In fact, Merriweather is the only driver 3 laps down, but there's plenty of drivers. In fact, Lucky is the first to be 2 laps down. So not a very good pit stop there by several drivers, and that puts several drivers more than a lap down. As we are more than halfway through this race. Complete lap 77. I'm very curious how this race plays out. Only a handful of drivers in the picture for the race lead, and only 12, maybe 11 at the moment. Actually, I guess 10. Because Iron Mouse and David, they haven't pitted yet, and they're trying to stretch it out so they can get... Although, saying that, I'm not a big fan of that strategy. They're going to lose many... They're going to lose probably 1 or 2 laps. And they're going to be in the back half of the field compared to where everybody else is running. And they're going to have to rely on a green flag run. They can't get a... If they get a caution, they'll be set free. But if they can't get a caution right now, they're going to have to rely on a green flag run the rest of the way. But 10 drivers, for the most part, stay out on track with fresh tires. But everybody from 13th on back have fresher tires than the top 10. So everybody inside the top 10 wants to see this run continue for the most part. Some drivers may want to see a caution so they can trap people laps down. But everybody from... Oh my god, they almost got it. Everybody that's a lap down... They want to see a caution right now. And they want to see the top 10, everybody pit. Dokibird back to the race lead. Soleil underneath Tyroki. If Soleil can pass the 3, they will be back on the lead lap. And that would put them in a really good spot if a caution comes out. We've had 2 already today, and both of them coming from the exit of 4 down this front stretch here. As it is a very tight exit. Soleil right up on the back bumper of Dokibird here, but this ain't for position once again. But this could help the 41 of Tyroki to get back into position for the race lead. Soleil thinks about it, but doesn't make the move happen, or maybe couldn't make the move happen down the back. And they're catching Weebu here, who's been running pretty slow laps here with the last couple of laps. As we go through the field from the back, looks like David has finally... No, I don't know if David has pitted yet, actually. I'll have to check here. Oh, now he is. Yeah, he's finally giving it up. He's thrown in the towel. And Soleil gets that lap back. So the top 3, they're right next to each other for the most part. Then you got Overdrive in 4th. And Kyoso a lap down in 12th. He's the first car 1 lap down. He sits several cars behind. So at the moment, he would be the lucky dog if the caution does come out. Right now, the 4 cars ahead of the 3, they're trying to stay away from the 3 and try to keep themselves at least on the lead lap. Some drivers want to not be passed to go more than a lap down. Because right now, you got Soleil, who just got back on the lead lap. Lucky, who is still 1 lap down. And Weebu, who I believe is 1 lap down. Yeah, so Weebu and Lucky, they sit 1 lap down. And Sprite also sits okay, so Soleil is the only car out of this 4 that is on the lead lap, or tail end of the lead lap at least. So from 12th to 28th, they sit 1 lap down. 29th on down to 36 sit 2 laps down, and Merriweather sits last 3 laps down. So several drivers want to see a caution so they could get a lap back. Several drivers want to see a caution so they get fresh tires. Several drivers don't want to see a caution because they are in a good position for a solid finish. As now Soleil has cracked the top 10, albeit 35 seconds behind, but still a top 10 regardless. Points leader sits 7th at the moment, but a solid finish no less. It doesn't have to be a win. It doesn't have to be a pretty finish for the 24 as long as they finish ahead of the 69. If they finish ahead or around the 69, then the damage is, pretty much increased for the points battle. 85 laps completed. The top 2 are separated by only a handful of tenths, if not less than 2 tenths, maybe less than a tenth if Tairoki gets a good run off this corner. But then Fruit is half a second behind these 2, so it's just these 2 battling for position at the moment. And Kyoso is trying his hardest to get back up into this picture so that he could get a lap back and be the first car, or I guess the last car on the lead lap rather, because he's right now the first car 1 lap down. So far, this is the best that I've seen this 3-car run after being who they are on the top left early in the season, but being replaced by Doki Bird at Pocono. They haven't had much of a solid performance, but this is their solid-ish performance. Regardless of finishing position, although there's still a lot of time left. We've seen some incidences happen with the top 3 already in this race. In fact, these 2 were involved in the second wreck, and that's kind of how they got up back up front. If everybody pitted under that last caution, these 2 would be sitting like 30th and 31st at the moment, but because they pitted, they climbed up, and because of the pit strategy from everybody else, as of this moment, they sit once again 1-2. And Fu, who was the 3rd car involved in the last wreck, he sits inside the top 5 still in 5th, but still 2.5 seconds back from these 2. Now, I'm curious to see if anybody inside the top 9, if they're going to pit again for tires, knowing that everybody else has pitted for tires and they're slowly chasing them down. Top 2 still stay about a tenth or less from each other. He also passes the 84, and that puts Fruit back more than a second back. Then we got Fu battling amongst a sea of others. Nori Boshi's trying to chase down. That's not for position, though, and so as well as Fifi. Overdrive in 5th. William multiple laps down. And then you see Bimble in 6th and Starlight in 7th. And David's trying to amount something here, but he sits 31st, and he's 2 laps down at the moment. So that strategy just absolutely did not work for David. Bell's up to 17th, so it's a bit better now. Not by much. That's still about 11 points if you combine all the points. That's still 11 points of a gain between the start of the race and now. Under 40 laps to go here at this track. Kyoso is chasing down these 2. Comparing the lap times here between the top 2, a 36, identical 36.635 to a 36.5 exactly for Kyoso, who's trying to get back on the lead lap. Right now, these 2 are content with just holding on to where they're at right now and not allowing anybody or anything to hold them back for even worse of a position. Tairoki has less than 39 laps to go in order to make this pass happen for the race win eventually if a caution doesn't come out. Because it's more than a second, almost a second and a half to third place of Fruit. And then you add on another second to Fu and the rest of the field here, who's battling amongst themselves, whether for position or not, as DJ Overdrive climbs up and gains a spot there. But again, that's 2.5 seconds back from the race lead. I think Starlight's going to hang on to the back half of this pack, but still sit 7th. The next position for battle for them wouldn't be till Simu, who's dealing with traffic of his own. So right now, 7th place is going to stay 7th for a while. And from the looks of things, it looks like Fu might have gone into the pits. Yeah, Fu has entered the pits. I'm going to quickly double check. Was there tires in this one? 4 tires? 2 tires. A 2-tire stop for the 17 crew. All right. Only right sides for the 17 team. The leader is not going to lap them at all, so a 2-tire stop for Fu might be the difference maker here. Because Fu's going to come out in 9th, at worst 10th. Nah, he's not even going to come out 10th. He's going to come out 9th. Actually, no, he is going to come out 10th. Sorry. Soleil's going to pass him. There goes Philly Sprite. There is. Yep, so Soleil's going to pass him for 10th. But he's going to stay on the lead lap. If he can get up to speed real quick. As Tairoki is going to block the 47. And get a push from him and take the race lead away. As Kyoso is trying to get back on the lead lap here. And Tairoki's going to clear up from the 3. And he can't defend much harder than where he is right now. Tairoki now officially back on the lead lap. Albeit right at the very tail end. Let's see if Doki Bird can maybe make something. Oh my god, almost contact again between those two. Let's see if Doki Bird can make a move down on the inside to get back that race lead. So working lap 95 out of 130. Side by side for the race lead off of 4. And almost contact again. They're going to stay side by side. Cross the line. Going to be Doki Bird who gets the lead back officially. And down into turn 1 is going to clear up. Officially has that back. Now Noriboshi and Fifi are the next 2 that are going to be trying to get their laps back legitimately. And they're going to battle side by side for a little while. As Fruit falls to more than a second back. Actually, here comes Doki Bird to put back that 47 a lap. Be the one and only time that in that outside line is gonna, well, actually no. Several more drivers inside the top 10 are coming into the pits. I say that as it's only Lumi at the moment. Lumi and Fruit. Actually, Fruit pitted as well. So yeah, so Lumi and Fruit, 2 more drivers inside the top 10 that have pitted as Kyoso goes back a lap. Goes back a lap down. But from the looks of things, several drivers are deciding to pit right now inside the top 10, including second place and first place. Here comes Doki Bird, a very last second decision. I am certain that was not on the cards for the 3 team at the moment. And then as soon as the 41 was pitting, they decided they were going to pit too. We'll keep an eye on the exit here and make sure that we know what's going to happen between the 3 and the 41. 2 tires. It is a 2-tire stop for a lot of these drivers right now. There's a gaggle of cars back here. Oh, Simu, slow. The tires are finally starting to eat up here as Simu is not going to pit, but still hold up a ton of drivers on the inside line. Kyoso's in the pits as well. Oh, DM gets turned hard on the inside wall. Caution. big damage on the left side of the 37. This changes legitimately everything now. Wow. Just when you thought the race was good to go for the end. There's so much to sort out. But I want to quickly look at this again. Wow. So because of the whole checkup there with Simu, checking up this entire inside line. Look at the checkup. They're stacking. And then right here, I mean, it's hard to see from this angle, but the 37 is really trying to, like, stay in line. Oh, so there's a better angle. Okay, here's a better look. I come up on the 4, check up big time, and the 36 is gonna hook them. And it's game over for the 37. Bam! Right into the wall. We saw something earlier with Fruit getting turned on the backstretch. I think the difference here is that this line is very narrow compared to backstretch. And DM obviously was going to cover up that lane. There was a little bit more contact here between Melody and Nana from the looks of it, although I don't think anything happened out of that. It looked like they were tight together, and that was that. Well, that is the third time that turn 4 has been the cause of a caution. That is the I mean, like, you would expect turn 2 to be the difference maker here. But because of the difference between turns 3 and turns 1, turns 2 and turns 4 are completely different. And that's why we've seen those wrecks happen. Now, this is our third official caution of the day. There was an incident early in the race that might have been a caution had that been on the front stretch between Fruit and Overdrive. Although, again, that was back in last place. So that wasn't going to amount to much. So now we have very interesting moments here, as it looks like, as of this moment, it's the 9 car in the lead, and then second place is almost a full lap back. That's Doki Bird. We're going to figure out the entirety of this score of everything here momentarily. As right now, the only thing I'm thinking right now is this 9 car is going to pit. I would think he would pit. He hasn't pitted, and he was the only car inside the top 10 that hadn't pitted. And everybody else behind him has pitted, and yeah, they are going to give up that race lead. The 9 car Bimble is going to give up the race lead. So everybody from Gura on back, because the race leader is going to end up being Doki Bird, if I remember, by the looks of things. So everybody from Gura all the way back to Filian, they're going to get a lap back. As Doki Bird is going to, once they cross the line again, officially be the race leader, because it still says a 9's the race leader right now, but they're in the pits. From the looks of things, too, there's several cars that are going to be trapped a lap down. I'm not entirely too sure who, but as of this moment, Bimble might be the luckiest one out of everybody inside that top 10 that was running. Because they pitted, but where they're coming out at, they're not going to come out that far back. They're not going to come out that far back from anybody else. They're going to stay relatively... They're going to stay 11th, officially. No, sorry, they'll be 10th. Yeah. Because right now they're in first. They'll just drop down to 10th. So that was a good call by Bimble to stay out that late. Because they got what they needed, and that was that caution. I don't think DM has pitted for their damage yet, and I don't think they care so much, but Yeah, as of this moment, it looks like everybody that's being waved around is being waved around right now. So Gura, Watson, Melody, Simu, Mizuki, just everybody's going to get waved around right now and get that sorted out. Going to go all the way back to Fillion in the 78. And that's going to bring us back with our race leader as DM finally enters the pits. Yeah, so I just now realized because pits weren't open the last time, so I'm dumb. Pits weren't open for the lap cars. So, with everybody getting waved around, I think, I gotta look, but I don't know if Sprite and Kyoso, I don't know if they are gonna get waved or not. Because I know Kyoso, I think Kyoso's a lap, maybe 2 down. No, they're a lap down. Okay, so 22 cars will be back on the lead lap. We get back racing here. And from the looks of things, I don't think Sprite's going to be the lucky dog, which I guess makes sense. That makes total sense here. Because while they are the first car 1 lap down now, they were not. Right as everybody was getting waved around. When this restart occurs, there's going to be a 3-car gap between first and second place. And right now, our points leader sits 9th. And second place in points sits 15th. So, still a gain of points. Albeit, it's slowly diminishing as this race has gone on. But a gain is a gain as of this moment. And while there's going to be 12 cars battling for the race lead... Actually, nope, it's starting to shake out now. Okay, never mind. Everything's starting to shake out. By the looks of things, they will be on the lead lap. Second place in points, sitting 15th. They will be on the lead lap. Because I think they were one of the cars that got waved by. Yeah, remember, everybody from Gura on back got waved around, and he was one of them. Or they were one of them. Bell was one of them that was got that wave around. As it goes all the way back to Fillion, who's back in 36th. That was a ton of cars. That is a ton of cars that got waved around. And DM, who went into the pits. Segura sits 11th. And then on back, as we saw. But there's still a ton of cars a lap down. As we restart here with 22 on the lead lap. Doki Bird and Soleil, the top 2. And Tyroki at 3rd. But Soleil has 3 cars of Sprite, Kyoso, and Weebu who are going to try and get the lap back. But they also are slightly on fresher tires. I don't know about Weebu, but I know Kyoso pitted just as soon as the caution came out. And I know Sprite, I think, pitted at 1.2. But all it's going to really take, and also at the same time, too, you got to remember, Soleil, compared to Fu, they don't have the fresh tires. As the 3 cars that I was talking about, they're on the inside. Doki Bird stuck on the outside. Fu's going to try and take that 2-tire stop to an advantage. Tyroki comes back into the pits. Maybe something's gone awry with that 41 team. They had to scramble on that pit stop, I'm assuming, in order to get back out in front of the 3. As Weebu flies way up the racetrack, but they are 1 lap down at the moment. Sprite and Kyoso now in front of the 3. They will be on the tail end if a caution does come out. And here comes Fu to try to take advantage of that. Maybe try to send it 3 wide to put 47 back a lap, but that doesn't work at the moment. Kyoso, very slow on the exit there. That's going to make the 3 make the outside line work and hang on to the lead. Here comes Fu with a run down the front. Soleil hanging on just behind them in 3rd. So it's the top 3 right on top of each other at the moment. Actually, here comes Fruit. Although they have to battle with Weebu in the 11. They're still up in the picture. Fu takes the race, lead away. And right now, what the 47 and 90 want to see is one more caution. Who tries to hang on to the race lead, but they are in a swarm of cars. Some of them not for position. Less than 30 to go here. 24 to go exactly. And right now, Foo's sitting really nicely right now. With a car in front and a car behind, not for position. Fruit now up to second. Soleil drops to fourth. Comes Weebu to try to get a lap back. That's going to bring the 84 down the inside as well. And right now, as of this moment, Weebu's going to be able to, oh my god, get her lap back and help bring Fruit back into the picture here, back to the race lead. Actually, I think the first time she's led, unless I missed a lap. I've watched all 108 up front. I wouldn't be surprised if I did. And Doki Bird's going to climb back up to second. Foo's going to lose a couple spots here. And the first 6 cars are all in a line together. First car 1 lap down is going to... Oh my god! That was close between Doki Bird and Fruit. They nearly got into it going into turn 3. All this battling is doing is separating them from... it's separating them from the cars that are on the tail end of the lead lap, which is good. Which is good news for the ones that are trying to get that lap back and try to get a good position out of all this. Fruit back to second, Soleil to third, Fruit to fourth, Fifi fifth, and Starlight still hanging on to sixth. DJ Overdrive in seventh. And here comes Fu once again to the race lead. He's on 2. He's got right side tires that are fresher than a lot of other drivers here. But what about the left sides? How are they going to fight? I know a lot of drivers, the last time they pitted, they took 2 tires. I'm wondering if Doki Bird did the same. Oh, well, yeah, sorry. Yeah. These two are relatively on the same. Maybe a lap or 2 fresher for Fu. Because he was one of the later ones that pitted. Doki Bird once again trying to take the race lead away as we cross the line. It'll be 20 laps to go. I think for the most part, tire strategy's out the window. Everybody's relatively on the same cycle of tires, give or take a handful of laps. So everybody should be right on top of each other in terms of the tire strategy. Anybody that pitted under that last caution, they're not going to really gain anything out of it, to be honest. Especially when you're mixing in lap traffic. Doki Bird has a good gap right now to second. It's actually going to try and chase down both Kyoso and Weebu. Try to put them a lap down. Maybe even Sprite too. So right now it's 3 cars in front of the 3 battling for their own position. Well, that might distract the 3 from the 17 as here comes Fu once again back to the inside. It's still anybody's ballgame inside the top 7. Top 8, I guess, if you count Noriboshi. About 2.5 seconds between first and 10th. So everybody's kind of on top of each other compared to where we were at a couple runs ago. But it'll be Fu who takes the race lead back. And Doki Bird's going to stay on that middle line, try to get something going, but they're going to get tight. Oh, they got tight. I think they were going to try and diamond it down and get a run down the front stretch, but they got tight. Now, Fu could put a car in between them and second place, or first place at all. It doesn't matter who it is. Could put a car in between them and second place. That'll almost guarantee them a pretty solid finish, if not the win. And as time runs down here with less than 17 to go, it's now or never for the leader to try and get somebody in this 3-car tango, put them back a lap. Put them in between them and second place. Right now, what may be hindering first place is these cars in front of them as well. Here comes Doki Bird once again, down into turn 1. Okay. That was close. They're going to check up a little bit because they're going to be underneath the 11 of Weebu. And they're going to put the 11 back 1 lap down. And Fu's going to try and put the 90 1 lap down. Nope, Doki Bird's going to try and go for the race lead with help from the 90. So now the top 2 separating themselves from third place a little bit. And oh my god, that was tight off of 4 right there. 15 laps remain in this race. Top 2 less than 2/10 realistically from each other. Got to give it a couple extra tenths to find third place of Soleil. Here comes Fu once again down the inside looking for the race lead. If Dokibird can win this race, that'd be the first time we have seen somebody that has won a race that hasn't been, you know, a full-time competitor, if necessarily. Because they didn't start the season. Like I said earlier, I should say, this is the best that 3 car has raced all season long. Not just with Dokibird, but also Selene. But here they come, trying to look inside, down the backstretch, trying to make a move happen. They just put the 90 car back 1 lap down, and Sprite's not going to take too kindly of that. And it's now going to open the door for Soleil to get up to second. And maybe we'll see what happens here with 14 to go, though. Because it's getting really tight here between the top 3 again. Fu trying to use that lap car of Sprite as a pick, but also trying to use that 47 as ammo for the next 13 laps. Side by side for second, but they got a 90 car in between them and the race lead. It is Soleil who now takes the second spot away. Fruit hangs on behind Dokibird in 4th. Fifi hangs on to 5th, and it's the points leader hanging back in 6th. And quick points battle update. Bell has gained up to 13th spot, so a slight gap, slowly decreasing, but still a gap being increased for the points lead, no doubt about it. About 6 or 7 points as of this moment. Soleil to the race lead, side by side going into 1. As Sprite got their lap back, that opened the door for the 420 to come back. And they're going to be side by side down the back stretch. Question is does Soleil use the 90 car to the inside as a pick? Not this time, but the 17 is going to lose out on the gap here. Unless, oh my god, that was super tight. I'm going to have to start using TV2 now for the rest of this race. See how tight they get off of 4 here. Soleil clears up and now leads for the first time today. Now this car, this leader, they started in 37th. They have legitimately climbed from last to first, which is not often we see that. But they have to hang on to this for 11 more laps while they're also dealing with some traffic. It's not heavy traffic, but it might as well be because it's still 2 cars. Soleil with a bad exit off of 4. Gonna try and block the 17 to no avail. Here comes Fu back to the inside. Under 10 to go here in this race. And Fu's going to use Kyoso as a pick right now, trying to use that slow momentum off the high side. Try to put a car in between first and second. Down the back, side by side, not for the lead, but for a pick. And it's going to work, because here comes Dokibird back to the inside of Soleil. And that is for position. And Fu clear, nope. He's not going to clear off Kyoso. Kyoso's going to get a hell of a run down the front stretch. Massive check up there by the 17. It's not going to hurt him in position, but that's going to maybe affect him with 9 to go. So he's not going to have anybody in between. He's not going to be able to put anybody in between him and second place, whoever that may be. And so this moment it is Dokibird. Looks like 24 Starlight's going to try and gain another spot here, get up to 4th. That's another point gain if they could do that. Dokibird may try to take the race lead away down the front stretch. Soleil with a bit of a gap back in 3rd. Still has some time left. Less than 9 to go here in this race. Starlight to 4th. And Bell still sits 13th. That's another 10 points gained by the points leader right now. Down the back, looking for a move. Here comes Fu down to the inside. Things are getting really aggressive here. Not super duper aggressive, but that could change here with 8 to go. very tight off the corner. Not as tight as we've seen it before. Fu leads with 8 to go. But there's still a lot of time left for both Dokibird, Soleil, anybody inside the top 5 because they're under a second. There's still time. David's also in this picture too, but he is not necessarily for the win. So it's really the top 4. As he is between Starlight and Fruit. So right now it's the top 4. It's anybody's game from them. 7 to go. Kelso and Sprite, once again, just in the crosshairs of the race leader. One of them could go a lap down and affect the outcome of this race. And as this is going on, those two in front, they are battling for a position themselves. So they're not going to give in that They're not going to give in that easily. Especially since they're really tight in the points. They're really trying to get all they can right now. They're holding up to 17. Who's going to make a move inside the top 3? It's going to be Soleil for second. Here they come to the inside of turn 1. Fu's going to try and get underneath Sprite to put a car in between them and the second place car, whoever that may be, which might be Soleil. And then turn 3, they're going to stay side by side. 2 rows of side by side, in fact. Let's see what happens with Kyoso here. Kyoso's going to check up slightly. Dokibird's going to try and hold on to that outside, but they're getting separated. There's a slight separation here between first and second. As right now there is a car between them. And Soleil's going to have to make something happen on the backstretch, but here comes Fu to try to make something happen and get 2 cars separating them. But if Sprite can make a move happen on the inside, that may open up the door for Soleil, who's on the inside, and we've seen that bottom be really dominant. Goodness, things are getting a little tight here. There comes Starlight, maybe looking for third. And they're going to be on that inside. Fu doesn't give up that outside. It's going to be a battle for second. 3 laps to go here at Motegi. The points leader up to third. Maybe looking for the win, because there they go. 3 wide. Almost 3 wide. That got tight. Fu with a run off the high side. Maybe not for long, though. Side by side. 3 laps to go. Fu leads that lap. It's the top 3 that are all going to battle it out because David separates 3rd and 4th right now. Soleil with the advantage on the inside. Kyoso on the high side. Maybe used as a lap car pick. Fu down to the inside. Is he going to make it 3 for the win? He's going to make it 3 wide. 3 wide behind them, too. With Fruit trying to get desperately back into the picture here. Little bit of contact. David gets turned. David is spinning. And around goes the 84. And around goes David and Doki as well. That's going to bring out the caution. And that's going to end the race on this lap when the top 3 cross the line. As the top 3 have already crossed the line, this is the white flag. It is Fu, and it is Soleil, and it is Starlight. Can Soleil get the run off the bottom? Soleil down to the inside. For the win. Can they make the inside line work? Tied off of 4. Side by side. Dooring each other. And it's going to be close. For the win. Fu takes the white and the checkered. And they will be the one by 0.05 of a second to win the race. Too aggressive off of 4 went Soleil. And with that little contact, that eventually gave it to the 17. What a finish. What another photo finish at the line. Wow. That was awesome. That is Foo's first win of the season. What might be the final results, we'll get it once more once we cross the line, but it looks like Bell finishes in 11th, just outside the top 10. But that still would probably be, I think, 9 or 10 points of a gain by the top 2 or by the 24 in points. Checker flag's in the air. Foo wins the race here at Motegi. Officially, that lasts by 0.4 of a second, but coming to the caution flag by 0.05 of a second. The outside line has never, ever worked in this racetrack, except for that one final lap. Podium does not give bonus points. The only position that gives off any sort of extra points is the win, because you get 3 points for winning the race. And an extra point, I should say, for leading the most amount of laps, but we'll get to that momentarily when we get the final results listed. But winning the race gives you 3 extra points, plus leading a lap, so technically 4 points. But we'll go through the official results here momentarily. What a finish. What a finish. My goodness. By 0.05 of a second, too. Yeah, I know, the race did end under yellow, but at the same time, it was also the white flag, so it works out in the end. So, let's go ahead and let me move over here real quick, and I'll get the final results listed here. There's a very tight battle throughout the course of the run here for leading the laps, as we see right here. So right now, it's the top 8 that we saw. But look at the top 2, both of them starting from outside the top 30. Foo started in 34th, and he finishes the race by 0.05 of a second, by the way, in first place, leading 26 laps. Soleil was just that close to getting their first win of the season, but rounds out second place, leading 2 laps, as well as our points leader, who led 2 laps, finishing in 3rd. Bimble finishes in 4th, leading 3 laps. Doggy Bird leads the most amount of laps with 35, but they finish in 5th. I will actually go over the wreck once more, because I know I hadn't done that. I'll go over the wreck here once we finish out these results here. But Doggy Bird, because she wrecked and she crossed the line while spinning, she still finishes in 5th. Fifi in 6th, DJ Overdrive in 7th. Simu in 8th, Fruit in 9th, and Melody rounds out the top 10. Bell finishes in 11th, but without leading a lap. It's going to feel like they finish in 12th, rather. Hano Mizuki in 12th. Iron Mouse in 13th. Nana in 14th. Kobo in 15th. Kaysan 16th. Gura in 17th. Our pole sitter finishes in 18th. Pena finishes in 19th. A very irrelevant day for them, because they started 18th. Didn't really see them much at all up front. Callie in 20th, Tyroki 21st, and Nori Boshi rounds out the field, at least on the lead lap, in 22nd. Everybody from Sprite on down finished a lap behind. Sprite 23rd, Kilso 24th, David 25th, Weeby 26th, Lumi 27th, Lucky 28th. Our outside pole sitter of Arisu finishes 29th, Billion in 30th, and then I'll have the rest of the field scroll down here slowly and surely. What a race and what a finish. We've had some amazing finishes all throughout this season so far, and we have only a handful of races left. So out of 130 laps, 50 times across the line was there a different leader, spread across 19 different drivers. So that out of the way, let me quickly find the reason why we ended the race under caution. And I will quickly go over points afterwards here. So let me quickly find where that happened and get a good replay of this. So real quick, before we get into the points, here's the reason why we ended under caution. So Doki Bird got sent 3 wide onto the top side with Fruit, and this was for position, except David was not battling for position. So as they were coming off of turn 4, again, turn 4, the reason why we have another wreck. The 3 of them just get together. I mean, not really a single car did anything wrong. David was just being bounced around like a pinball. And at first was fine. They were going to be fine. And then just gets doored again by Doki Bird as they were crossing the line. That's what ultimately resulted in the caution flag being waved during just right about the white flag. Just a lap beforehand. So 4 cautions and 4 times was the caution because of the turn 4 exit. So that is the points heading out of today's, or heading into, I should say. This is coming into today's race. As we scroll down, we will find that the gap has increased to 44 points between the top 2 in points. With a change in 3rd place, as Soleil gains a whopping 3 spots in order to get to that spot in the points. So, 2nd place for Soleil, 3rd place in points coming out of today's race. And then the rest of the points will be shown up here, or at least the majority of what you want to see in the points. 10 drivers, less than 100 points away from the leader. But as of this moment, Area has a full race lead on the points. So, despite what would happen if anything bad were to happen in next week's race, which by the way is at the Milwaukee Mile, if anything were to happen to the 24 car within the next couple of races, they can be rest assured that they will not lose the points lead. Now, saying that, while we are entering our final stretch of this season, consistency is still going to matter throughout the rest of this season. They can muster up a bad finish here or there, and Bell could muster up a solid finish here and there to take advantage of that. But it's still going to be about a race, maybe a race, 2 races. It's still going to be roughly 2 races at least for Starlight. Well, once again, here's our next 4 races listed up on screen right now. Like I said, next race will be at the Milwaukee Mile, and then after that will be the Homestead Miami Speedway, and then our second race over at Charlotte, which would be the Oval, and then the Euro Super Speedway, which is Pocono, but bigger Pocono. It's a triangular super speedway, which will be a fun race. All 4 of these races are going to be fun races to watch, no doubt about that. Well, with that out of the way, that will be where we end off today's stream. I will be back tomorrow morning to maybe do some karaoke. I think maybe. Not too sure yet. I'll figure it out. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching. See you next week for the VTuber Racing 2024 season. See you tomorrow for my next stream. Take care, everybody.